Hey, folks, I'm back. This is Ray Leonard Jr. I'm back here with the incomparable Miss Shirley Murdock. We had some technical difficulties, but hey, it's 2020, so it
We're
happened.
back.
We are back. You can hopefully everybody can hear us, can hear what's going on, and enjoy the show. First of all, Shirley, I want to thank you and welcome you to Know Better, Do Better podcast. I appreciate you taking the time to be out here. I've been such a fan for a long time, and I just want to welcome you to the show and thank you so much for being on.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Good. So you're in Ohio. You're from Ohio, right?
Yes, born and raised in Ohio. Born and raised in Toledo, and I live in Dayton. I've been in Dayton since 1983. No, 1983, 84.
The home of the Wright brothers.
That's right. That's right.
Good. So I went to college in Ohio. I went to Ohio University.
Okay.
Down in Athens, so not too far from Dayton. But yeah, so I know how it is and know how the weather. How's the weather there now?
Snow. We got our first snow.
First snow.
But we in Ohio, we always say we have 3 seasons. We have winter, spring, summer. Winter, spring, summer, and construction. They're always working on something,
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And so, the way we go here with this show, the Know Better, Do Better show, is kind of we want to go over the journey. We let our audience know where you came from, how you started at everything, and how you got to where you are, and what's going on now. So, without further ado, I want to ask, how did you get started in music?
Well, I think I came out of the womb singing. As long as I can remember walking and talking and being alive, I've always been able to sing. And even as a young girl, I could sing like a young woman. So like a grown woman. Like I love Aretha Franklin. I thought I was Aretha Franklin. I tell you, I would listen to the radio that had those big old headphones. Now they call Beats.
Right.
Had those we call it big air traffic controller. Headphones on my head, and I listened to the radio. I would sing with everything. And I remember being like about 9 years old, singing Dr. Feelgood, and I sang with so much passion that Mama said, "Baby, I know you don't know what you're singing about, but you sound like you do. So why don't you just leave that alone till you get grown?" So really, but I was discovered by Roger Troutman, and I was about 26 years old when that happened. But I grew up singing in church and weddings and funerals and concerts. So I love singing. I would sing do harmony with commercials, get on people's nerves. I grew up in a house with 6 kids in one bathroom, and the bathroom was my place to practice. It's like, Mama, make sure to come out the bathroom, because that's a great. The acoustics were great,
Yeah, well, that's why I sing now, and I think I sound good in the bathroom.
In the bathroom, right?
But your family, your mother knew at an early age that you had a voice, because I know some people, go through their careers early on, and then they never know that, until they actually get the big break that, no, this is actually something I can do for a career. But for you, is that something that you already knew that you could do back then? Or
it was, because it was singing in church, being a young girl and watching the reaction of people when they would hear you sing, the response. So I knew that I was gifted, that God gave me this gift. And I knew that one day he would open that door. And I really started off as I gave my life to the Lord as a young girl, and as I started growing in my relationship with God, I thought that I was going to be a gospel singer. So that I was pursuing gospel. But those doors never opened for me. But I just walked by faith through the door that God opened for me. And here we are today. I get a chance to talk to you.
Oh, well, there you go. Now they said you started your gospel career pretty early. Like you started, I think you were 15 when you started singing in gospel. I know you probably doing it before then in church.
Oh yeah, like about 9 years old, singing duet with my sister in the choir. But I really started really growing in the Lord when I was 15 years old, and that's when I really thought that, because I grew up, in Toledo, which is like just down, south of 75 from Detroit. Right. So I have a lot of Detroit influences, like Motown and Aretha and Stevie Wonder. And when I was a young girl, listening to the Jackson 5, and they were young kids. So I'm like, okay, I can do that, But, as I started growing in my relationship with God, I just really thought that it would be gospel. And I even was a part of a ministry team that went all over the country and did crusades. They did revivals. And so I was a part of that too. So, but yeah, I thought it was going to be gospel, but those doors never opened.
So that's strange. So you got out on the stage at an early age with the gospel, and you're singing in front of the churches and everything, and then you look to have a gospel career, and that didn't open up the way you wanted to at that time. But then you come back, and we get to the 80s, and you got Roger Troutman to find you.
Yes.
How's that happen?
Okay, so I have a cousin who worked for Troutman Enterprises who lived in Dayton.
Okay.
My first cousin, and she worked for Troutman Enterprises, and so she came to visit my home in Toledo while I was away with the crusade traveling, and my mom let her hear this tape of me singing "Jesus Is Love" because one of the crusades, that was a theme song, for by the Commodores, Father, help your children. So we did Jesus is Love, and my mom let her hear a tape, and she begged my mom to let her have a copy. She promised to give her like 3 or 4 more copies. And so she let Roger and Larry hear it, and they were like, well, who is this girl, and does she want to make records? So when I came home, my family was geeked. There was geek Ray. It was like, ooh, Roger Troutman and Zapp. I'm like, okay, who's Roger and what's a Zapp? Because because I was really more into gospel music. It's not like I was not aware of R&B music or mainstream music because I would hear it on the radio, but I wasn't really familiar with who the artist was.
Right.
And so I found out, that Roger was this really, really popular, musician and producer. And so my oldest sister and I went to Dayton to go speak to him and Larry Troutman. And I told them that I wanted to do gospel, and they said they didn't have any connections there. But if I ever wanted to give it a try, to let them know. So I told them, thank you, but no, thank you. But I left there thinking, like, Lord, why is this the only door that seems to be opening? Could this be the avenue? Could this be the the door that you're opening for me? So I tell you, through much prayer, like I said, I walked by faith through the door that God opened, and it's been an amazing, amazing journey.
Wow, that's fantastic. So now you walk in there and you have the gospel, visions and gospel, journey that you want to do, and you talk to Mr. Computer Love.
He wasn't Mr. Computer Love then.
Right.
He was Mr. Mobile to the house.
Oh, there you go. We're
talking about early '80s, yes.
Okay, so we're having that conversation. So you're in there, Mr. Mobile to the house. It's going down.
Right.
So I know a lot of my friends that have sang in the gospel in the church. So what was the first thing that your family said when you came back? You said, you know what? I met with Mr. Troutman, and I'm going to sing some secular music for a little bit. Like, what was the conversation then?
My family was very, very supportive. They just wanted what was best for me. They know how hard I had struggled to try to make the gospel thing work. And they saw too that it was an opportunity. They felt like God was opening that door for me. And I talked to my pastor about it, and for me, it was never about leaving my relationship with God to go sing R&B. It was just being who you are, just being my authentic self wherever God plants me. So, I remember having jobs at like a hospital and a jewelry store, and that didn't affect who I was in my relationship with God. You just be faithful in your station, And so they were very, very supportive. And then I moved to Dayton. Roger said, well, if we're going to make this record, I need you to move to Dayton. Because you're used to singing gospel, you're used to singing in the choir, but I got to show you how to sing in the studio. I got to teach you how to sing in the pocket, because it was all free flow,
Right.
And so he taught me how to lock that pocket between that foot and that snare, baby. And I tell you, I can lock a pocket like I don't know what. So Roger taught me how to do that. And so he said, we're gonna make this record. I need you to move to Dayton. So I moved to Dayton to make my record, and in the interim, he asked me if I would come out and sing background for him, while we were making my record. And so
Right.
that was a great opportunity, getting ready to be an artist, and being out there with somebody that's already done it, having that example. It was a great experience for me. And I remember coming out, I came out, and I remember doing Freeway of Love by my girl Aretha.
Okay.
And I think I did Let the Music Play by Shannon. So I'm taking you way back, right?
Yeah, this got the real.
To the way back, way back. And so, and then, we were making my record. And while I was out on tour, after some years, because I went on tour with Roger in '83, yes. And so by the time my record was done, it was starting to make a little noise. And Larry Troutman was my manager. He said, Shirley, your record's starting to make a little noise, so we're gonna pull you off the road and start your band. And let me tell you something about Roger. He gave me his band. He gave me his brothers. He gave me Lester, his drummer. He gave me Terry. He gave me his whole band. But my husband, we weren't married at the time, was his music director. So he kept Dale. We were engaged. He kept Dale and gave me his whole band and started another band so that I would be comfortable, being out with the people that I knew. Now that's Roger. That's the heart of Roger. So he was just amazing.
Well, you know what? That's what was wild that you say that, because you hear so many horror stories, especially when you have a young lady going out with the band, a group out there. But it seems like they look kind of at you as a little sister or so.
They did.
They want to take care of you. Or
They
did,
took good care of me.
Did your mama threaten them first?
No. Well, no. She didn't have to. And plus, I think one of the things that was really good about not, even though I could sing at a young age, about not getting discovered then, is that I had an opportunity to grow up and become myself, grow up and become stable in who I was and whose I was. So because that was together, I was able to maintain who I was, what I was taught by my mom, what I was taught, in the church as I sat in the choir stand listening to my pastor. All of those things went with me. And so Larry and Roger, they really looked out for me. Larry really became like my surrogate father. And Roger was my big brother. He's my producer, my mentor. And they taught me a lot about the music business. They're very protective. They never sent me out alone. When I was doing track dates, he would always send Lester. He would send one of his brothers. And then even my own brothers worked for me for a little while. But they always looked out for me. I was not in a drug infested surroundings organization, because I came straight out the choir stand. Straight out the choir stand to the club, baby. Doing gigs with Zapp. And so, but it was a drug-free organization. It was a family organization. So that felt very comfortable for me. And then my husband Dale, who came out the next year on tour, we became very, very good friends, and we were both two church kids in the business. So that attracted us to each other, along with the music. And I had a great friend.
Hold a quick second. I got to go to a quick commercial.
Okay. Pay the bills, baby.
Right back. Yeah, gotta do that. We'll
come
back, and then we'll talk about it. We'll explore that a little bit more.
Okay.
Thank you all for watching. This is Ray Leonard. Know better, do better. We'll be right back. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Know Better, Do Better. This is your host, Ray Leonard Jr. I'm sitting here. I've been having this fantastic conversation with the fantastic Shirley Murdock. We heard a little bit about her upbringing, how she got started in the music business. But now we're going to do a little bit about, with her time with Roger and Zapp, and then going into her own personal solo career. So we're going to bring Shirley right back. And there she is.
Hey.
Fantastic. Hey, Shirley. So before we left, you were telling us a story about you and your husband, and how that all began. That the whole vibe with you and Roger and Zapp, and we want to explore that a little bit, and then go into kind of your solo career.
Yeah. So I was traveling with Roger on tour, singing background while I was making my record, and my friend at that time, Dale, he was Roger's music director, and we just became great friends. We were two church kids in the music business. And so we had that in common. So I could talk to him about gospel music and things like that. And he could play it. He knew what I was talking about. So we just really had a great chemistry, and our friendship grew. And 32 years down the line, we've been married for 32 years. We're still together. And God is good.
That's a whole nother conversation to figure out. Some of the audience like when we looking like, okay, how did you do that? 32. Fantastic. So you working with Roger, and what's the first song that you worked on with them?
The first song I worked with Roger was a cut on, I think it was the record before Computer Love, a song called Girl Cut It Out. Okay. And so it was a duet that we had, and we also we performed it on stage. And so we would have like this battle between me and Raj, and he was going to out-talk box me, and I was going to out-sing him, and guess who won?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I know who won that one.
Yes. Had a lot of fun with that. And, Roger was very open and very open and giving about allowing people on his stage. He just had one requirement. And that one requirement was, you can step out front, but do not bore my fans. That's the only requirement he had, is do not bore my fans.
Wow. So no, he's a musical guy.
Oh,
Come up
genius.
with the talk box and do that and put that sound out and be confident with it and say, yeah, this is gonna be a hit. This is what people are gonna like. But then he wasn't scared to share the stage with somebody like you, let you stand up front because you gonna tear the roof off when you stood.
Well, he had confidence in me, which was uh very rewarding, and he also was very he pushed me, he pushed me in my writing and in stage performance. So he's very much a part of my growth in the music business and as a performer. So I have so much that I'm so thankful for Roger and for Larry.
Right. So what was the first song that you performed that you were on stage with Roger and Zapp that you was like, oh my goodness, this is big. We have crowds, we have people around. We're not just hanging out and dating no more.
That was Computer Love.
Yeah.
That was Computer Love. When we hit Computer Love, the people, they hear that first. They hear that bass come in. Hear
Oh.
that, they hear all that. Oh yeah, so it was on, and so that was amazing to watch that grow and how the people responded to that. So yeah, Computer Love was the biggest song that I performed with Roger.
So what did you learn? Like, what was your thought process about how you would put your songs together? Because when you're working with the group, I know if you have designs on doing your own thing, you come up with you got to work within their shadows right there before you get started. But then when it actually comes the time for your opportunity, what's your thought process and how you took from them to say, I want to use what they did, but I want to do this differently for my project?
Well, I was blessed to come in with an opportunity. So I didn't come in, sing background, and didn't get the opportunity. I came in as a signed artist.
Right.
And so, but the beauty of it is that, Roger and Larry, they wrote songs for me, but he also gave me an opportunity to write songs, and so that helped me to develop as a writer. And he trusted, my instincts. He trusted my vocal ability. If you listen to like my early records, it got a lot of harmony packages, like with "Going Without You" and "As We Lay," and all of that harmony stuff comes from my choir background. Okay, and what's amazing about Roger is that not only is he a funk musician, he's also a jazz guitarist, and Roger could play every instrument. And I would come into the studio with Roger, whether I had a session or not, just to be in his presence and to watch this musical genius create and go to work. And I would hang out, and when it was time for us to finish up a record, we stayed in the studio, and we were available to him in case he needed more vocals or if he needed more music. And I'd be up under the grand piano taking a nap, and he'd come up, I need this vocal. So I learned so much about recording, and making music and writing from Roger and from Larry too, who was also a songwriter.
Wow. And so, okay, so you're doing that. You hear the success. You have Computer Love and everything. It's like, wow, you're here. I'm waiting for my opportunity to shine. I already been shining out front and doing my thing, and people just waiting on me. And so, what did you look for as far as your first single that you wanted to come out? What was your vision, or was it part of a team deal, or was it just like, here, this is my song, this is my first song I want to put out?
Well, it was part of a team, and it also had a lot to do with the record company, with Elektra. Because being a new artist, they're trying to figure out where you fit. When I came out, there wasn't a lot of ladies out there, like younger ladies out there, that had the big voices. It was like, Vanity was out there, and it was like a lot of, really soft voices. But what gave me confidence, because I was nervous about that, but what gave me confidence was Jennifer Holliday, who came out with that great big voice. I said, okay, we're going to be all right. And so, they really didn't know what to do with me. They tried. I think I was like about 4 singles deep with that first record. They tried a up-tempo song called No More. And then I think they tried another one. But my record broke, not because of us knowing what to do. It's because there's a format in radio back then called the Quiet Storm. Mm-hmm. So Quiet Storm DJs, see, back then radio personalities could play what they wanted to play because they knew their audience. And they even had this thing called, was it like Play It or Break It, something like that, where they would kind of test it with the audience, and the people would call in and say play it, or they might say break it, like get rid of it. And so it would be like late in the midnight hour. You know how the mainstream DJs, they started playing As We Lay. And so it started making a lot of noise, and the record company finally realized that we had something. So they're the ones that really broke As We Lay. Then after As We Lay, we had Going Without You, and then maybe another single after that. So it was really kind of like really not knowing what to do with me, because I was churchy, but I wasn't, they just didn't know what to do with me. So it was kind of like trial and error, but really Quiet Storm, that format broke my record and really put me on the map.
So you come out with As We Lay. And you say, okay, we got the young church girls out here about to sing this song. Like, how did that song come about? What was it like for you singing that song? Because that one, forever.
No, it sounds like a big absolute contradiction, doesn't it? Okay, so what had happened was, okay, I was not the first person to sing As We Lay.
What? Really?
As We Lay, I covered As We Lay because it's done by a group that Roger produced called The Human Body, that consisted of Billy Beck from the Ohio Players, Larry Hatcher, who was a horn player for the P-Funk Horny Horns, and for Ray Davis. You know, in that song Atomic Dog, that bow wow wow yippee yay, that's Ray Davis. So those three gentlemen, they made up The Human Body, and it was on their record, and Billy Beck sang the lead vocal. And Billy Beck was from Ohio Players.
Right.
And so So Billy sang the song, and it never got into the ears of the people. You know, there's a lot of great songs that never get into the ears of the people. So while we were making my record, I was approached by Larry to do As We Lay. And I'm like, well, first of all, I know it's a hit record and all that, but I got a problem with it. And, because it's dealing with infidelity, right? And so I said, well, if I'm going to sing this song, I need to add these lyrics. And what I added to As We Lay was, we need to count up the cost before we get lost in the second, in the minute, and the hour. Because every decision that you make in life, there's a price tag attached to it. Okay. Right. What feels good to you right now, there are consequences. So As We Lay is not a celebratory song about infidelity. It's really a sad song about regret. She says, I would never want to hurt her. No. She would never understand. I never want to hurt her. She never understand. And you were long for me just one night, and then you got to hurry home. You got to hurry home and face your wife. So it's like in the heat of the moment, in the cloak of the darkness, they did what they did. But when the next day came in and the sunlight came in, it says, sunlight shines across your sleeping face. So the sunlight comes in, everything you did in the dark has now exposed. And now you got to deal with the consequences. So it was so I wanted to add that because I thought I didn't want to just talk about this situation that everybody could probably relate to, whether they've been in it personally or watched it on a soap opera or a movie. But I wanted to put that lesson in that you need to think about what you do, because there's a price tag attached to what you do.
See, that's amazing, because I'm gonna look at the song a whole lot differently now that I know a man was singing it first.
Yes.
And you sung it and you changed it up.
Yes.
Billy said, I can't ever sing that song again in my life.
Well, I definitely couldn't do it that way, but I think that it's I've heard a lot of people say, it helped them. Some people who were in that situation, they said, that's my song. And Ray, I can't tell you how many people came up like I was a Catholic priest with true confessions. They wrote.
Let me tell you what happened.
You got me in trouble. You got me in trouble on that song. I said, listen. You didn't listen. I said, I ain't paying no child support. So we have a lot of fun with that.
So what was that like when you sing it on tour? When you're out and people coming up and they hear you, do you see the audience kind of shift a little bit when they start hearing the song?
Well, it's amazing because I toured with Luther Vandross. And I remember coming out, I opened for him, and you know how people start coming into the arena because, nobody wants to hear the opening act, right? But by the time I hit As We Lay, it's like you see the people like, okay, who's that? By the time I hit As We Lay, they're like, who's that? And it's amazing because it was a blessing because Luther allowed me to be exposed to his audience, and so I had this opportunity to win some of his audience as my own, and my album actually went gold while I was out on tour with Luther.
Wow. Wow.
But I always also included, like a gospel song on all of my records because that's who I am. And Larry and Roger fought the record company because they really didn't want to put this gospel song on that record. But I have a little song. It's very short. It's called Tribute, and it simply says, "I shall not forget what you've done for me. I shall not forget how you set me free. Everywhere I go, everyone will know that Jesus lives within my soul. Thank you for this time to say what's on my mind. You're everything to me." So that was at the very end of my record. Like I said, I put it on a gospel or inspirational song on all of my records, and I included it in my show too, because that's
Right.
who I am.
Oh, that's fantastic. Because I mean that's your ministry. Your music was your
Absolutely.
ministry, right?
Absolutely.
You're reaching people, so no matter how you reach them, the thing is to bring them back.
Absolutely. But and to have the opportunity to share good news. And that's what the gospel is. It just means good news. And honey, everybody needs some good news, no matter
Right.
what you're going through. So, if you're sitting there in the club and and you hate your boss and work is, it's crazy, and maybe your family's getting ready to break up, whatever. But to be able to go in and let somebody know, hey, God's not mad at you. There's nothing that you've done that God can't forgive, baby. And he can reach down to your guttermost and lift you up to your uttermost. So that's good news. And to be able to entertain people is a beautiful thing. But I always try to not only just entertain them, but leave them inspired as well.
Oh, fantastic. So you go through and you have the success of As We Lay, and then on your record you come out your next record is Go On Without You, another smash hit. So were you nervous about dropping your next single, or how do you feel about, was it the record label, or was it you to say, okay, let's go with this one next?
Well, again, Quiet Storm radio started playing Go On Without You.
I'm gonna talk to Melvin Lindsay about that.
Yeah. So yeah, they started playing Going Without You. Again, my record really got broken by radio. Absolutely did. And I'm gonna also plug up my phone because I think that my battery's running a little low, and we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, don't want that to happen.
But I'll do it on a commercial break.
Okay.
But so of course I was a little nervous because you're wondering, are people going to like this as well as they like the previous song?
Right.
But As We Lay and Going Without You were on the same record. So, but the next time going for the next album, that's when the nervousness came, because you're trying to make sure that you stay up to par. You don't want to drop the ball, and you hope that they enjoy the music. So on the next album, it was called A Woman's Point of View, and on that album it had the song called Husband.
Hold that thought for a second. We're gonna go to a quick commercial. We're gonna talk about husband. We're gonna talk about your acting career on stage too. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. It's Know Better, Do Better. We'll be right back.
I'm gonna get some.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Leonard Jr. in the Know Better, Do Better podcast and radio show. We're doing our second segment with the incomparable Miss Shirley Murdock. We've heard about her early career. We heard about some fantastic stories. I mean, she even sang for us a little bit. You got to be blessed to actually get that. So I want to welcome her back. Shirley, thank you so much for being back with us and spending time with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Ray. Thanks for having me. It was so nice. We had to do it twice.
Yeah, we had to do it twice. I said, the first segment was so nice, but we had to break it in two. So we're doing it again. So awesome. As we left our last segment off, we were talking about your early career, your songs. We talked about As We Lay. We talked about Go On Without You. We talked about the whole background into that. And it was astounding to hear how that came about. And then you moved on. I mean, you had so many other songs and projects that went well. And then you did, I think it was 1999, you did something with Pastor T.D. Jakes.
Yes.
Tell us about that, because I mean, that was a whole another amazing saga to your career.
Oh yeah, God used Bishop T.D. Jakes, to bring the desires to my heart to fruition. It was in 1999 that I met Bishop T.D. Jakes, and I was actually singing on the praise and worship team at my church, Solid Rock Church in Monroe, Ohio, and it was our church anniversary. And he came to preach, and I was on the praise and worship team. So there was a gathering after the service at my pastor's house, and that's when I met him. Told him about myself and my desire to sing gospel and how those doors never opened. He said, well, maybe one day we might get to do something together. So then I got a call from him, and he invited me to be a part of many of his big women's conference called Woman Thou Art Loose. So oh my gosh, I did one in Atlanta, did one in New Orleans, and I mean, oh my gosh, what a wonderful opportunity. And out of that, he came to me and said, Shirley, you said you never had an opportunity to sing gospel, but I started a record label, and here's your opportunity, but you can't do both. Well, at that time, Ray, I was signed to Warner Brothers to do another R&B record. And so I went to Roger and I said, Raj, listen, I finally have an opportunity to sing gospel, and I want to be released from Warner Brothers. So I was signed to Roger on a production deal, and he, went to Warner Brothers and did what he needed to do to get me released from there. And I was released on paper. I believe it was December of 98, actually. And Roger passed away in April of 99. Wow. And I remember him saying to me, baby, I'm happy for you because this is what you were doing when I met you. So he was really, really happy for me. And out of that, I had my very first gospel album called Home. It was on T.D. Jakes' label, Dexterity, distributed by EMI. And then out of that, I've had two more gospel albums and a live recording too, where I was able to invite some of my girlfriends like Regina Bell, Beverly Crawford, and Kelly Price.
Oh, yeah. Before you go into that, I got to go back because tell a story about how good God is. So you're at church in Ohio, and T.D. Jakes, Bishop T.D. Jakes is coming to the same church to preach, and you're singing. So how blessed is that congregation to have T.D. Jakes, and you singing at the same time? And for those that didn't follow the first segment, is Shirley talked about early on that she wanted to do gospel as a young lady and didn't have that opportunity. So you fast forward all the success she had with Zapp and Roger Troutman, and then coming out and having her own successful projects, and then God said, "Okay, it's your time to do it." And put Bishop T.D. Jakes in there to do it. Now I look back, and when you say, you talk about Roger passed in 98, right? And
99.
99, right? Early 99. But he didn't actually get to see the project come to fruition, did he?
No, he did not. He did not.
He's more like your guardian angel that was sitting there making sure that was going to happen for you.
Right. But he also, he would come to church. He would come to Solid Rock, and he came to see me sing in the choir. So, he was always very supportive of everything that I did. And oh my gosh, Roger, that's my heart. He's just no words to describe just the value, how much I value him and value our time together.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you were in Ohio and you were listening to Shirley Murdock at church singing in the choir, like you were absolutely blessed. That is insane for me to even think about that. I know we had some amazing singers come from the churches and the gospel choirs, but to hear that and hear you in there, I know that was an amazing time. Now you went to so. Go ahead.
Ray, real quickly, one thing that I have to give a shout out to my pastors, Pastor Darlene Bishop and Lawrence Bishop, God rest his soul. Most times you wouldn't have pastors that way because I was still singing R&B.
Right.
But I remember my Pastor Darlene saying that the Lord spoke to them and said, "Stay with her. I'm doing something with her." And so I told them who I was and what I did and what my heart was. And it's good to have people who can try the Spirit by the Spirit, who can know your spirit and know what God is doing with and through you. And the awesome thing about that church is I was able to just be Sister Shirley. I didn't have to be I didn't have to be Shirley Murdock. I was just Sister Shirley, somebody that loved the Lord. I could lift up holy hands in the sanctuary and get my praise on.
Oh, beautiful. I mean, because that's tough. Once you reach that certain level, it's hard to come back and have people look at you the same way because they're like, oh, I just had a different job than you had. I'm not no different than what you had.
Right.
My job might put me on a platform, but I'm still here. I'm still Sister Shirley.
That's right. I love the Lord.
Yeah. So Woman Thou Art Loose. I mean, that was like a huge program that Bishop T.D. Jakes put together. And from that, he did stage plays and everything from that.
Yes.
You were involved in some of that as well, right? In the
Say it
stage
again.
play? So you started doing some stage plays too, right?
Well, I was doing stage plays prior to that because one of the great things about God is that the Bible says that that your gift will make room for you and bring you before a great man, and if you delight yourself in the Lord, He'll give you the desires of your heart. So as I was a little girl, in Toledo, Ohio, watching them Shirley Temple black and white movies, I saw myself. I said, okay, one day that can be me, because she was young, she could sing, and she could dance, and I saw myself. So that was really the beginning, the genesis of my dream. And I can look back over my life and see how God has made so many of my dreams come true. So being a mainstream singer, a lot of the gospel plays or urban plays, they would have artists come in to do like a little bit, to come in and do a cameo in those plays. And so it was always my desire to act. So when I had this opportunity, I said, listen, I am not going to go in here acting like I'm an actor, because I'm not. I'm a singer. I spent my life learning how to sing, and so for me to crown myself an actor would be to do an injustice to those people who spent all their life learning how to be an actor. But I said, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to glean from these actors. I'm going to let the directors tell me what to do. I'm just going to be a blank canvas, and I'm going to let them paint on me, and I'm going to learn how to do this thing. So what ended up happening was I went from a cameo appearance in my very first play. It was a Michael Matthews play called Fake Friends, and so it had Marvin Sapp and Ollie Woodson and David Peaston, God rest their souls, and so many wonderful people in that play. Do you remember the Five Heartbeats?
Oh, absolutely.
Two castmen from the Big Red from the Five Heartbeats was in that play, and so was the guy that he dangled over the out the window. And so I went from being Auntie Thelma in that play to end up being like carrying lead roles in plays for over the years. So the play circuit really started somewhere around like 1996, and I've been doing it ever since. And those plays have turned into film. I worked with Jack A. Harry and Malik Yoba, Billy D. Williams, just so many. So it's been really, really a blessing and a great journey.
Well, I want to talk to you about that too, because when people look back and they think acting, you want to make sure that you show authenticity and that you try to recreate for the screen what we live in real life and make it look authentic. So I mean, when you talk about acting, it's trying to be real, but doing it in segments, right? But when you're in a play, it's live, so people are watching you, and you have to do it multiple times. So in a movie,
you can do it multiple times. In a play, you only got one shot.
Yeah, you call time out. In a movie, you can say, "Hold up, I'll do it again." In a play, you like, "Nah." Yeah. So what was that like? I'm sure because you were an artist and you've been on stage, you know how to cover things up if something goes wrong. So that was a benefit to you. But explain to the audience kind of what was that like behind the scenes when you're preparing for a play and actually getting out there and you're singing. Maybe you don't feel good, or maybe you miss a line. Tell a story about that. What's that like?
Well, one thing about the play, it's an ensemble. So everybody on that stage, we're there for each other to put forth a story. And so I've been around really great people who, as in my beginning days, not really knowing what I was doing, they would cover you. They would, if you miss a line, they could bring you back, or they could say the line, something that would jog your memory. But it's really a matter of working together. But we always have rehearsals, like weeks and weeks of rehearsals before we actually put it out there. And then opening night is pretty much like a rehearsal. because even with whether it's a play or whether it's a stage performance, you never really know what you have until you put it in front of an audience to see what the audience is responding to. So even like even in music, it's good to get a chance to maybe like break a new song in the midst of a concert, kind of get a feel for how they like it, what parts are going over well, what parts to take out, what parts they ain't hear, what parts they don't like.
Right.
And so again, it's an ensemble, and it's really it's a group effort to pull it off. And I learned, you have to get into the character, you have to put bones, and like the script is really like the skeleton, but as an actor, you get a chance to put muscles and put a little fat in it and some skin on it, and to actually bring it to life. And you can draw from your own experience or from experience of of other people. Like, for instance, you have like a lot of method actors. You have people like Denzel Washington who could actually, go into that character, like Malcolm X, and actually become Malcolm
that
X.
person, right?
So you do your homework. Some people who may have never experienced drugs, and they may play the role of a drug addict, so they may just go to maybe hang out and see what's going on. They might go to a trap house, or maybe people who are dealing with mental issues, they might talk to a counselor to see if they can sit in on some sessions, just to kind of glean and make that deposit into their spirit, into their mind, into their soul, so they can bring this character to life. So it's challenging, it's interesting, it's fun, and I'm just blessed to have the opportunities to do those things that I've always wanted to do. So life is a blast.
We're talking about doing those things that you always wanted to do, because you just talked about it. When I go out on stage, my day job, and I'm doing the inspirational, motivational speaking, and I'm talking to 1,000, 2,000 people, and I mess up something that I know in my head, but then they don't know it because they never heard it before. But it freaks me out. It freaks me out when I go back and I'm like, man, I messed up so bad. But then the audience experience was so different. And when you talk about having something, when you're doing something live, you had a lifelong dream of doing your first live CD and DVD. You're talking about Live the Journey. Tell us about that project and what it was like, because you had some amazing people involved in that. And when you talk about legends coming, because you got people that can sing. I mean, everybody. You talk about David Peaston, Marvin Sapp was in church and singing, which on plays. Marvin Sapp. I just played that yesterday on my other show, my Instagram show, and we played "Never Would Have Made It." We was like,
all right. Go ahead, right?
I'm like, no, I wasn't even doing anything because I don't want to embarrass myself with you. But what was that like to actually do that project, and how did that project come to fruition?
Well, the record company, Ty Scott Records, is the oldest Black-owned record company, and I'm really proud to be a part of that.
Wow.
My second CD called Soul Food was on that label, and also so they came and said, well, for this next project, maybe we can do some songs that you're familiar with, songs that you've done, and maybe you can invite some of your friends. So some of my girlfriends in the music business was Kelly Price and Regina Bell and Beverly Crawford, and I asked them if they would come be a part of it, and they said sure. And I've actually been on Regina's project, and I've been on Beverly's project, and I was on one of Kelly's Christmas projects. So we've known each other for years and have kept each other encouraged, and plus being believers, it's especially in this business, it's good to be able to connect and to inspire and to keep encouraged your brothers and your sisters in the business who may not have the opportunity to be connected to a church like Solid Rock, like I was, and so just remind, I know who you are, I know who you are. People may not understand you because you're doing R&B, but I know you love God, and I know you have your own relationship with God. And so we would keep each other encouraged, because a lot of folks thought that we were all going to hell.
They say, "Judge, let's not you be judged."
Come on now, that's right.
Because they don't come as you are. Come as you are.
That's right. Don't throw no stones, baby, because you live in a glass house.
Right.
But I asked these beautiful ladies if they would be a part of it, and they did. And I actually had just gotten back from Japan when we actually recorded it in North Carolina, and so I worked with a producer, and we picked out certain songs. I wanted to make sure that the song fit them. So with Regina, it was a song that kind of had like a little jazz feel called The Upward Way. I'm moving on the upward way. That Regina Bell jazz
that
thing.
flow, yes.
And then I did a more contemporary song with Kelly and with Beverly Crawford. I did a old-fashioned hand clapping, foot stomping church song with her called yeah. So it was amazing.
Kelly and Beverly, they got them grown women voices. That's they from the church.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And because I know them, I know their story, And so I was just blessed to be able to have them part of that project. And it was my first live CD. I learned a lot, some things you would do. I would not just come in from Germany to do a live CD because I was tired. But the Lord, he makes up the difference, I'm just so thankful, and people were being blessed by it. And Cedric Thompson was a producer, and he did such a just a marvelous job, on those songs. So, and the songs I think fit the personalities of my guests. Let's see, Donnie McClurkin came that night, and a lot of people came from the industry, came to support. So it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience.
So how does that work out? Because I know that I'm getting gonna get questions about, when you do a live CD. Do you rehearse? Is it similar to a play that you say, okay, here, this is what we're gonna do beforehand, and then we're just gonna record it. And if something goes wrong, we're gonna stop and record it again. Well, it's live, so I guess you just keep doing it over and over again till you get it right. Or what, how does that process work out?
Well, first of all,
if you weren't flying back from Germany,
no, from Japan. Well, first of all. Weeks prior to that, I went to North Carolina and I sat with Cedric and we did the demo for Kelly and for Regina and for Beverly, to give them an idea of what the song, what their part was. But of course, I didn't want them to be limited to what I was doing. I wanted them to put their own thing on it. You know what I mean? But it was just a demo. It was a demo. And so, but we never got together to rehearse it until that night. And so, but of course, but things can go wrong, and if it goes wrong, you got a live audience. And so you can stop the tape, and then do it all over again, start it all over again. So you got to do what you got to do. So it just depends, I think we had maybe one or two stops and came back and did it, but it was just so exciting. And to have those ladies say yes was just such a blessing, it showed me that the love that they have for me. And it just was just a cherry on top for, our friendship.
Wonderful. So Shirley, I'm gonna put the commercial break in here right now, and then we're not actually gonna really go to commercial, but I'm just gonna put the break in here so the producers can put together, and then we'll keep talking.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ray Leonard Jr., and this is the Know Better, Do Better podcast and radio show. We'll be right back with more Shirley Murdock.
I think I'm gonna mention the sinuses, you know what I mean? So they're good. What's she doing?
They have no idea. You sound phenomenal. You sound phenomenal. So if you want me to do it, I'll put it in there.
No, I can fix it. I know exactly what to do.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Because we'll just take it out. Okay. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Know Better, Do Better podcast and Ray. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Know Better, Do Better podcast. This is your host, Ray Leonard Jr., and I am still here with Miss Shirley Murdock. We've been having a fantastic conversation, and we're going to talk a little bit more about her new projects and everything else that she has going on right now in this next segment. So stay tuned. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ray Leonard Jr., Know Better, Do Better podcast. And I have Shirley Murdock with me. Before we left, Shirley was telling us about her live show, The Journey. And she with Kelly Price and Regina Bell and Beverly Crawford. I mean, it just goes on. When you hear names like that, you know it's going to be good singing on that album. So make sure you go check that out. But she's been doing so many amazing things. She has an even new project that's coming out just in time for the holidays. That's right. We're in December right now. So just in time for the holidays, a fantastic musical. And that voice that Shirley Murdock has, you cannot mistake it for anybody else. I don't even know where that came from.
God.
Yeah, God-given voice, because your voice doesn't sound like anybody else's. And your range. When did you know that you had that kind of range? Was it early on that you just like you're screaming in the room? You're like, your mom said, "Be quiet."
That too. But I mean, I learned from so mmany great artists. I didn't study music, but my teachers were people like Aretha Franklin and Gladys Knight and Stevie Wonder and the Clark sisters. I met the Clark sisters as I was coming up, and
the Clark sisters. I still think about that song. You are the light in my life.
You brought the sunshine.
Oh yeah,
you brought the sunshine in my life. Yes.
the sunshine.
You brought the
That's
sunshine. You
beautiful.
are the lifeline.
Lifeline. Yes. You
Yes.
are the lifeline.
Yes, and so I learned from just learning and mimicking even people that I just would listen to who were popular on the radio, and so like I knew that I was gifted with this voice, and I could sing like a grown woman, like I told you I think in the first segment,
Right. Yeah.
ever since I was little. So it's just a combination of just trying to copy. I copied those people that I loved, and along with the gift and just continuing to hone that craft, practice.
Right.
And so anybody that if you want to be proficient at anything, you got to practice. So I like, and my rehearsal room was the bathroom with all those good acoustics.
Now, before we get to your new song, because I want to play that for the audience as well, but now you brought up the Clark sisters and you talked about Aretha Franklin. When it's all said and done, who would play Shirley Murdock in your movie?
Wow.
It's got to be somebody that can sing, actually.
Yeah,
for sure.
Kelly Price could definitely play Shirley Murdock, and so could Jennifer Hudson. I think they could play Shirley Murdock.
Wow, that would be phenomenal. That would be fun. How do you see your film going? Because we always talk about on this show, when you know better, you do better. We look at life lessons and things you learn. What would you want to portray at the end of your story that people get to learn about you and your journey?
I would say to really stay true to yourself, true to who you are. I came into this business as a born again Christian, and throughout my journey, I've maintained those principles. So I do business like that. The Bible is my measuring stick. It is what I go. It is my it's where I find balance, and keeping family around you, people who know you, people who aren't afraid to tell you, child, that's crazy. You don't need to surround yourself with a lot of yes people. You have to have people around you that love you and have good intentions, and who don't have a hidden agenda for being with you and being around you. And
Right.
Also, don't hang around nobody that ain't got as much to lose as you do.
But I would say
to really just to be true to who you are, maintain who you are, and then people will come to you if you got a standard. Then people they're going to come to you. They're going to approach you, understanding what that standard is. So don't be ashamed of who you are. Stand firm in the truth of who you are and whose you are, and understand that you're blessed also to be a blessing, not to just bring everything into yourself, but you're blessed to be a blessing. And so I hope that would be something that I could leave as my as part of my legacy.
Well, talking about a blessing, I mean, your new holiday and Christmas project, I listened to the song over and over again. And, it's especially because we're in a season where you're far away from families and you want to have that kind of, that soulfulness to bring you back and to give you that sense of tradition and everything else that we're all missing right now. And, your song just filled my soul, the Winter Wonderland. So you had a different take on it than most,
Yeah.
So tell us about the project and why you actually put that together.
Well, it's a project that's still in the making, but Winter Wonderland it's an old classic. Everybody knows it, with but I wanted to put like an R&B feel to it. I want to put this R&B vibe on it because to me, I want it to be warm. I want it to be something where people might imagine themselves sitting in front of a fire, real cozy and just while with all the snow outside and sitting next to somebody that you really love, that you really care about, and it's just a Christmas classic with an R&B vibe, and I hope that everybody enjoys it. It was like rolling around in my head for a long time, and I just finally said, because my husband is also like my husband Dale Anthony DeGroat. He's a music director for Zapp, but he's also my husband of 32 years, and he's my writing partner. He's my manager, and he's my best bud. And so I said, Dale, hey, I got this. I want to do Winter Wonderland. I said, but I don't want to do it the regular way. I want to do it with the kind of an R&B vibe to it. So he came to the studio and put the music together, and we did the vocals, but we also have some traditional things like Oh Holy Night and Mary Did You Know. So we got some traditional things too. But I just hope everybody really enjoys Winter Wonderland.
Ladies and gentlemen, check it out. Winter Wonderland. This is not the Bing Crosby version. This is the Shirley Murdock version. You're gonna love it. Check it out.
Sleigh bells ring. Are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight. We're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird. Here to stay is the new bird. He sings.
Ladies and gentlemen, I mean that was a rendition of a song that you've probably never heard of like that. You know, that brings soul to you, and I hope it's a blessing
Let
to
it
all
snow,
of you.
let it snow.
Yes.
Let it snow.
Yes,
Let it snow, let it snow.
It's a blessing for you. It'll be a blessing to you. So, Shirley, like you've had such a phenomenal career. You've had so many wonderful people around you. What advice would you give to a young artist that's coming up that you know may have had similar aspirations of being a gospel singer and then say, okay, maybe this didn't work out, but following your journey, your path before your biography, your story comes out fully? What kind of advice would you give to a young person that's up and coming that wants to get into this industry now? Because it's totally different than back in the day, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But I would say, for me, you have to really listen to the voice of the Lord to understand what you're being called to do, and understand that maybe what you're being called to do is not like the other person. Every person is unique in their own way, and God did that on purpose, with purpose. If He made us all the same, then how can for instance, like if He made everybody Shirley, then we would not have a Ray Leonard, we wouldn't have a Kelly Price, we wouldn't have a Mama Shirley Caesar, we wouldn't have the Clark sisters, we wouldn't
Right.
have all these various all these gifts and talents. So now we have this big garden full of these beautiful flowers of people and lives. And so for me, it's like I really believe that my footsteps are ordered by God. I think that's true for all of us. But I think that if you have this dream, a dream is a glimpse of your future self, yourself in the future. Like I saw myself like Shirley Temple, little girl Shirley saw herself doing and being what Shirley Temple was doing and being. And so if you've got this dream of being something, whether it's a singer, a dancer, a writer, whatever it is, God dropped that little glimpse of your future self into your spirit, and it speaks to you. It's something that doesn't let you go. And so, but He is the giver and the keeper and the fulfiller of the dream. So I say dream big, and I say keep going after the dream. I would say to make sure that you're doing all that you can do. You do the possible, and God will do the impossible. So there are things that you need to do if you're striving to be a singer, writer, whatever. So if you can, surround yourself with people, or watch and glean from people who are doing what it is that you want to do, and you can glean, you can learn from those people. Like I learned from Aretha Franklin and Gladys Knight and Stevie Wonder. I learned their riffs. All those things were deposits into me, but when it comes out as Shirley Murdock. But it's unique because it's me. And so I would just say, continue to strive for that dream, and get ready. Practice, whatever it is that you're doing. And while you're waiting, continue to hone that skill. The Bible talks about waiting on the Lord. When you waiting on the Lord is not like twiddling your thumbs. Waiting on the Lord is like waiting tables. In other words, while I'm waiting, I'm going to fold the napkins. While I'm waiting, I'm going to fill the salt shaker, the pepper shaker. I'm going to polish the silver. You keep doing while you're waiting. And sometimes you might get tired, but the Bible says that as you wait on the Lord, He'll renew your strength, and you'll mount up with wings as an eagle, run and not be weary, walk and not faint. And then I'll finally say that that you will reap the reward if you faint not. So if you don't give up, it will happen. And so don't worry about how long it takes, because when it happens, baby, you won't care how long it takes. Like I was singing like a grown woman as a little girl, but it wasn't until in my mid-20s that I got discovered. And listen, it would be just as sweet no matter when it happens. But when it happens, also give God the glory. And when he can trust you to give him the glory, he can bless you some more. So I hope that helps somebody.
Oh, that is definitely a blessing. It's a blessing to me. When you say waiting on the Lord, doesn't mean that you can remain idle. Like you got to keep it moving. You got to keep walking in those footsteps. Right?
You keep moving forward. You keep pressing forward. Yes.
Oh my goodness. That is a beautiful lesson for you young people out there to learn from. You know, someone that's been through it and had the success. And because once you get to that mountain, it doesn't stop there. You got to keep moving. You got to keep moving.
And can I leave you with something that Roger told me?
Absolutely.
As a young artist, you know, coming in, say green is green bean, don't know nothing. Roger said, Shirley, as relays on the top of the charts, and I need to talk to you. And I'm not sure if I shared this with you in the first segment, but he said, that right now that record's on the top of the charts in the record company. Woo, you the best thing since ice cream. He said, they got your poster all everywhere. He said, but let me tell you something. That record can't stay up there. He says, once that record comes down the chart, they're going to take your poster down and put somebody else's poster up there. He said, you'll be lucky if they accept your phone calls.
Wow.
He said, this is what you do. Do a great record. Do a great live performance. But this is the key. Stay touchable to the people. And they will support you for the rest of your life. So it's so much about staying touchable to the people, letting the people know that, you know, you appreciate their support, because without them, you couldn't do what you do. There's so many artists out there that might be even more talented than you, but never had the opportunity. But because you were blessed with the opportunity, you need to be humble. You need to just remember that it's God first. But these people who go to a 9-to-5 that they might hate, and they'll spend their hard-earned money to buy your records, go to the plays, go to your movies, whatever it is that you're doing, they're supporting you with what they went to work for. Wow. So if they come up for an autograph or a picture, take time. You know, it's like I always looked at it like, because I'm so blessed to do what I do, and these people bless me, I feel like I'm in the red. I feel like I owe you. So it's always important to never forget, you know, where you come from and these wonderful people who supported you all these years. And I was also told that it takes time to build a career. Records go up the charts and they come right back down the charts. But the way you build is a way, for instance, if your record's on top of the chart, that's great. But you have to build, and there's plateaus, you know. But if you shoot up, you can fall back down. But you need to have landing places. So, you know, while the record's going, you do some, you know, you make sure that you're doing something positive. You make sure that you're affecting somebody's life, that you matter, and that your music is being a blessing to somebody. You know, whether it's gospel or whether it's R&B, you know, R&B, or maybe it's funk. You know, something that's causing people to forget about their problems. You know, they go to work from 9 to 5. When they come home, they want to relax. They want to hear some music, or maybe it might be a love song that's going to set the mood for a husband and wife to come together and remember and reminisce on you know, how it felt when they first fell in love. So all of those things are important. Music has that kind of power to be able to influence, you know, your heart and your mind. And so, and even as a writer, I really try to be cognizant of the lyrics, because the words we speak are spirit and life. And I want to make sure that I'm speaking life into somebody's life, you know, whether it's to encourage them in their love relationships, or I have a song called I Love Me Better Than That for women who need to take back their power. Maybe they've been abused physically or mentally or emotionally. But the end of the song says, I want my joy back. I want my peace back. I want my strength back, because I love me better than that. So yes. I try to write, my songs are life songs about life. And that's also the name of my website, Shirley Murdock Life Songs, because that's really what I sing about, whether it's, you know, relationships, whether it's your relationship with God or your relationship with just family, whatever. but so I sing about life, and I'm really blessed to have that opportunity. I stayed away from my R&B music for about 7 years before, when I was doing my gospel music, and God opened that door for me to be able to do that again. So I can bridge the gap between, my mainstream music and the gospel, and put it into a context of everyday life, or just life. So it's just really been a blessing. Like I said before, and I said time and time again, it has been, and it still is an amazing journey.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are getting a master class from Miss Shirley Murdock. You talk about, when I say the show is about knowing better and doing better.
I love that too.
They said if you give a person a fish, they eat for that day. But if you teach them how to fish, they may be able to eat for the rest of their life. And that's what we try to do: feed your soul for the rest of your life, to give you this knowledge that you can use. Now, I can't make you drink the water, but I can take you to the water.
That's right. That's right.
So that's
right.
on you, what you do with it. And so, this is the information that we're open to give you. And, everything that's going on with right now with this pandemic and COVID-19 and the stress and stuff that's happening with people. We have an upcoming show about suicide prevention and depression and mental health. That's going to be fantastic. And I got to do. I love. What you said the song was? I love me more than.
I love me better than that.
Love me better than that. I mean,
I love me better than that.
That may be something I have to put on there for sure.
Yeah. It says I love me better than that, than to lay here and cry or to stay here and die. I'm going to get my life back. I know I made my mistakes, but it's never too late.
Oh, we may have to see if we can work out and bring Shirley Murdock on to play that song a little bit for that show, because that's going to be food for the soul. So I would love to be here all day and talk to Shirley, but no, we're coming to an end of the show. And Shirley, I got two more questions for you. One, I want to know, what's next? What else are you working on? And then secondarily, I want to let the audience know where they can find you, find your music, all the information that's out there about you, so they can continuously get this food or this medicine for the soul.
Well, I'm still writing songs for a Life Songs project, and for that project, I will have gospel. Have art, some mainstream love songs, sacred love songs, and some R&B and some inspirational songs, because I want people to just be able to go to that project and get what they need. Whatever it is that you need, it'll be right there. I'm also a part of a wonderful ministry that my husband and I are pastor and co-pastor. It's called Praying for You. And it is an online ministry and a teleconference ministry. It's really a church without walls. We've been around for about 14 years, and it grew out of a Wednesday noon Bible study where people call in from all over the world, all over the country. We also have a radio station, and it's 24/7 gospel. And so we have if you go to our website, praying, PRAYING, the number 4 YOU.org. That's our Facebook page. You can like that. It's also our website, tell you more about the ministry. But you can get a hold of me. I'm on social media. IG is Shirley Murdock, the number 4 Real, REAL. And
right there at the bottom,
Twitter,
folks. It's right there at the bottom. You can see that.
Yeah. And for Twitter at Shirley Murdock, and I also have a Facebook page. So and I read my own, I answer my own. Depending what's going on, it might take me a while to get back, but I think if you take the time to write me, I need to take the time to try to write back, at least give you a smiley face or something.
Wonderful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a blessing to us all. We thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we're going to thank the wonderful Miss Shirley Murdock for being our guest for 2 segments, not just once. Yeah, we came back again. We did it twice. It was so nice. And this is Leonard Jr. Know better, do better. See you next week. Peace.